So, if I start hormones, am I stuck on them for the rest of my life? That might be the single most common fear I hear about menopause treatment, and it stops many women from ever getting relief. They'll rather white knuckle through the night sweats, the sleepless nights, than sign up for something they think is permanent, dangerous, or both. So, I want to clear that up today because the answer is actually more freeing than most women expect. And a lot has changed about what we know now. Hi, I'm Dr. Lola Ashaye. I'm a board certified family physician and founder of InTouch Primary Care in Sugar Land, Texas. And I specialize in women's primary, preventative, and menopause care. I help women finally get real answers about what's happening in their bodies. So let's get into it. Let me first describe a woman I see a version of, a lot. Let's call her Renee. She's 51. And for most of this year, she's been waking up maybe 2 to 3 times a night. She's soaked through her shirt. She's flipping her pillow to the cool side. And by the afternoon, her patience is gone. She's short with people she loves the most. She just doesn't feel like herself. In addition, when she looks at herself in the mirror, she feels like she's looking older than she feels. She's tired around her eyes. Her skin doesn't quite feel the same. And someone finally mentioned hormones to her. But the moment she heard the word, her stomach dropped. And she felt, she thought about, she's like, my mom always told me that those cause cancer. And once you start, you can never get off of them, right? Well, so she keeps suffering quietly because the fear of treatment feels bigger than the symptoms, and nobody has ever had the time to actually sit down and work through it with her. So here's what I want to share today, and I hope that women listening understand. And this is one of the first things I walk through with people that come through my practice. When fear is driving a decision, it's not going to be a good one. So let's talk about it more. So forever is a myth. There's no built-in expiration date on hormone therapy, and there's no contract. Even the FDA is clear that when you start and how long you stay on it are decisions that you make with your physician and a decision that you revisit over time. It's not a one-way door. And science has genuinely shifted in the last few years. A lot of the fear that women carry trace back to the headlines from the early 2000s. So that's almost 30 years ago. And since then, researchers have taken a much closer look. And in late 2025, the FDA began removing the old black box warnings from estrogen products. And the new labeling points to more favorable balance that when therapy started within a specific time range, it could be 10 years of menopause or before age 60, there's a real change in the conversation in terms of risk benefits. So it's a spectrum. It's not just a single switch. Hormones isn't one thing. There's systemic therapy for symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats. There's low dose vaginal estrogen for urinary and vaginal symptoms, which absorbs only a very tiny amount of hormones, and that's a very different decision. So hormones aren't the only road. There are also effective non-hormonal options too, and there are newer medications as well. So do I have to be on hormones? Already has more than one answer. So the answer is no. You don't have to be on hormones, but in some people, it might be helpful. The other thing is understanding that hormone therapy is reversible and it can be revisited. You can start, you can see how you feel. The dose can be adjusted. The form of hormones can be adjusted. You can stop. It's what's right for you. And for Renee at 51, maybe not right, maybe it works for her now, but at 58, it doesn't. And that's exactly how it's supposed to work. It's meant to be a living conversation, not a verdict handed down once and never reopened. So let me pause here because I know someone is watching. Maybe you've been suffering through this in silence, and right now you're too scared to ask. If that's been you or somebody that you know, please share it with them. Not for me, but for her. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is hand another woman the information no one ever gave us. So you might be asking, but aren't hormones dangerous? Didn't a big study say they cause cancer? That fear is understandable and it comes from real headlines, but those findings have been re-examined carefully for over 2 decades now. And that's why the black box warnings were removed from the estrogen products. The honest picture is that the risk is dependent on the individual. It's dependent on the type, the route, the timing. It's not just one blanket answer for everyone. It's just like saying all forms of birth control are dangerous, including condoms, right? You can't compare a condom to an oral birth control pill. You can't compare that to an IUD with or without hormones. They're all different. So different therapies work differently for different people. Systemic estrogen still carries considerations for some people, and that's why it's a detailed conversation, not just a yes or no, for everyone. So the other thing that comes up for people, if I won't I have to be on them forever? And like I said, the answer is no. Starting and stopping are both on the table, and the duration is something that you can decide and revisit. Plenty of women use therapy through most symptomatic years, and then they reassess from there. So it's not an all or nothing. And then some might wonder, won't my symptoms come back the moment I stop? And the truth is, so for some women, the symptoms come back, and for others, they don't. So when you stop in, it can often be done gradually rather than just stopping suddenly. And there's some non-hormonal tools that people can lean on. The point is, you're not trapped. You have options at every step. So some people might feel like, you know what, I'd rather not take anything. And that's completely a valid choice, and it deserves real support too. There are other options. There are non-hormonal medications, there are lifestyle approaches that can genuinely help. So the goal isn't to push you towards a specific way of addressing it or away from one. It's really so that you understand the decision, the options, and you have information instead of fear. So here's the thing, a decision that is personal can't be made well in a 7-minute visit. It deserves time to look at your history, your symptoms, what matters most to you, and to walk through real trade-offs together. And that's the kind of care we have here at InTouch Primary Care. It's a direct primary care practice. We have unhurried visits, direct access to the doctor, and because we offer transparent wholesale pricing on labs and medication, exploring your options doesn't have to be confusing or expensive. And I'm also licensed in several states. So for some women who are not here in Texas, this can happen through telehealth. So if you have been fearful about this decision, let's replace it with information. To start, you can book a free 15-minute consult at intouchprimarycare.com. The link will be in the description. And please hear me clearly. This video is general education. It's not medical advice about whether hormones are right for you specifically. This part is a conversation for you and your own physician. So imagine making this choice from a place of clear information instead of old fear, understanding your real options, not scary versions that you've absorbed along the way. And imagine now you're sleeping through the night again. You have the patience back for the people you love. You imagine knowing that whatever you decide, you can adjust it as your body changes because nothing about this is permanent or out of your hands. And that kind of clarity is possible. It usually just takes someone with the time to sit down with you and explain it to you. And I hope that helps. I'll see you in the next episode.